Good morning. Welcome to Walking Boxing. It is Wednesday, April the 2nd, 2025. And I got nothing today on this day. I researched high and low. And you reckon I could find anything? No. Now, you would think somewhere in boxing history there's been a fight or two of relevance, but no, I couldn't find anything. I didn't actually mention the other day, March 31st, of course, a couple of days ago, that it was on this day that Tszyu lost his WBO belt to Sebastian Fundora. So in all the excitement of searching of things that happened many years ago, I forgot about that one. And of course, the day before that was when Liam Wilson lost to Oscar Valdez. So anyway, but yeah, nothing. I couldn't find anything. But the drama continues with the Tszyu-Joey Spencer fight. I think we're getting there. I think we're close. Now, I did get it sort of wrong yesterday as far as the judges goes when they're appointed by the combat board. Okay, so I was aware of how it happens in Victoria. Of course, all the combat boards are different. So the New South Wales Combat Board. So I did say that normally what happens is it's up to the promoter to let the combat board know that they only need one judge allocated, and that they will be bringing in two neutral judges. They're then approved by the combat board and everyone's happy. Very rarely would you get a judge that's turned away from the combat board. So that's what normally happens. However, in New South Wales, apparently what happens is that the promoter, in this case No Limit, lodges the application for a permit to put the show on. It is then up to the combat board, the New South Wales Combat Board, to actually designate the fight as a major event, a significant fight. And then they decide that international judges will be required. So, as I said, I wasn't aware of this. I thought it was up to the promoters to lodge the request, and the combat board would say, yep, no drama. We'll just allocate whatever judges we have to, and then we'll wait to approve the other two judges that are coming in, but it's not the case. So now what apparently has to happen is that the promoters have to, or No Limit, have to pretty much convince the New South Wales Combat Board that this is a significant fight, and it pretty much is. You could say it's a world title eliminator. But what they're going to, I think, hang their hat on is that it's for the WBO, some sort of regional title. I can't remember exactly which one it is, but it's a WBO belt on the line. Anyone's guess is what the actual name is, but because it's got that WBO title sort of attached to it, they can deem it a significant fight. Now, I would think that the New South Wales Combat Board, in their wisdom, would realise the significance of the fight. It's a big fight in the context of Australian boxing, so I'm surprised we've even got down this far where we're actually arguing the point. Now, I would have thought at least at some stage, even if No Limit were unaware of what happens, and you'd think they'd have to be, wouldn't they? They've been around for 6 years, put on some of the biggest fights this country's ever seen. Wouldn't you think they'd be aware of this? Maybe it's just a Tszyu thing, I don't know. Maybe they just weren't aware. And then also, wouldn't you have thought that someone from the New South Wales Combat Board would have actually contacted No Limit and said, what's happening with the judges? What he's doing? Is there anything in place? Do we need to get things moving from our end? It's just a pretty, come here, man, going a different route today. So yeah, it's a unique situation, but I'm sure they'll get it solved. A little puppy over there with his stick. G'day, how you doing? Good, thanks. Come here, man. He's got his stick. And just eyeing us off over there. Cute little puppy. All right. Then on the other side is that Michael Zarafa has obviously put his hand up to fight Tszyu. Now, this is very intriguing, isn't it? Now, a lot of people contacted me yesterday, sent me messages about this. He did a Zoom call with a lot of reporters, did Michael Zarafa. And look, the timing is great. Now, a lot of people said it's April 1st. Jesus, this has got to be a joke, but it wasn't. He jumped on Zoom. All the boxing reporters in Australia jumped all over it. They were quick to scramble to the computers to do the Zoom call, and geez, Michael, his timing is impeccable. I think Glenn Jennings actually commented about that as well. And look, when the opportunity is there to get some media, then you take it. And Michael Zarafa as I said, his timing was impeccable. He had them all sort of scrambling over themselves to get on there and get the lowdown. Look, he made some good points. He said, look, I'm not being disrespectful to Tim. I'm not laying the boots in the Tim. I'm not trying to goad Tim. All I'm saying is if Joey Spencer can't fight, I'm there on 5 days' notice. Now, he said yesterday, he said, I did a training session. I was 73 kilos, which is in pounds, what's that, about 163 or something like that. And he said, look, if it's at middleweight, he's only got half a kilo to lose. If it's at super welter, he's only got, 3 kilos to lose. So, which does pose the question, if he's just in normal training at the moment without anything to really train for, and he's only half a kilo over the middleweight limit, why is he campaigning at middleweight? Why doesn't he go down to super welterweight if he can make it that easily? It doesn't make sense to me, because most fighters campaign at, the lowest weight they can get to. But anyway, so he said, look, again, I'm not being disrespectful to Tim, but I'm happy to step in. And Tim, well, there was a video getting around yesterday of him on the phone to Glenn Jennings when he got the call about what was happening, and he was in a good mood afterwards. He said, no, it looks like it's all solved, although he did say the judges thing or the situation hadn't been resolved, but it was all good. So he seemed pretty happy with things, which goes to show maybe they know a little bit more than what they're letting on at the moment. But he pretty much discounted Zarafa's sort of comments and said, well, look, he's always trying to make his name off my name, and whenever my name's mentioned, he seems to pop up. But look, it's got legitimate cause. Look, as I said, I had a lot of people comment yesterday or message me and say, what are your thoughts? My thoughts are, I don't think there's any way in hell that they would allow Michael Zarafa to step in on 4 days' notice now. And the reason is because look at the potential money they're going to miss out on, everyone, because they put it in the smaller Newcastle arena. Now, I know the first one was supposed to be in Newcastle as well, but what is it, 4 years later, it's a much bigger fight than what it was back then. They would need a significant stadium for it, and on 4 days' notice, how do you pump it up? How do you get the juices flowing of the boxing public out there? I know it's happened before, and I've had these big fights and they will sell, but the stadium would be one, and then just the opportunity to build this fight up into the biggest fight since Green Mundine. I'm not sure No Limit would just let that opportunity pass. I think they would maybe just say, hey, we're going to postpone the fight. Hey, thanks, Michael, for your offer, but we're going to postpone the fight. Maybe, look, even if they put it back a month and went back to a bigger stadium and give them a good month to really promote the Zarafa Tszyu fight, it would be huge. Not as big as Green Mundine, I'll stand by that, but it would still be massive. And if he's ever going to fight Michael Zarafa, if that was the case, then this is the time. But I've still got a sneaking suspicion that, don't stress, I think Joey Spencer will get in the ring. He's been here for over 3 weeks, so surely he's not just going to pack it all up and go home. It's a big thing to do after you've been somewhere for 3 weeks. I totally understand, by the way, his argument. He's got every right to put his foot down and say, no, this is not on. We were promised 2 neutral judges, so we want it upheld. Now, I would think that No Limit will do everything they possibly can to appease his request. Now, I know there's a lot of people saying, he's been a whinger and this stuff, but this is high stakes. This is very, very high stakes. Now, Joey Spencer, look, he's on the fringes of the world level. This is his big fight. The only reason he agreed to the fight, apparently, is because he was promised the 2 neutral judges. So I think if No Limit have got any, class or morals or whatever you might want to call it, dignity, whatever you might want to call it, I think they get the 2 judges in and really appeal to the combat board to get this done. Now, maybe, no doubt, there'll be some money exchange hands if it can't be done. Maybe they'll offer Joey Spencer an extra $100,000 or something for it. I don't know, because if he does decide to pack it up and go home. He's lost a lot of money as far as training camps and all the rest of it goes. He's flown everyone out here. So yeah, I think it'll get resolved. We're too close to it to have it fall over. This is not a situation we've had in the past where, you know, he's sick or injured or whatever it might be. This is just one of those things that happens in the lead up to big fights. Not that this is a massive fight, but it's a biggish fight. I did see actually yesterday, I jumped online for the tickets. Unusual, there is still a lot of tickets available for this fight. So I don't know whether they just sort of get on late up in Newcastle, but I think it only holds about, I'm sort of guessing 2,000 or 3,000 people. It's not a big, maybe it's a little bit more. It's not a big stadium. So, and they've dubbed it Tszyu Castle. So yeah, I just jumped online just out of curiosity yesterday to check out ticket prices and how it's going. And there were still a lot of empty seats, including floor seats, which is really unusual. Usually they're the first to go with something like this. Maybe it's the cost of living sort of crisis we're in at the moment, sort of paying up to sort of $1,300, $1,400 a ticket. But the tickets in the upper stands aren't that expensive. So yeah, I'm sure they'll pack it out on the night. But it was a bit unusual that you've got a Tszyu fight that hasn't sold out in an arena of only 2,000, 3,000, 4,000, whatever it is. So I'm sure they'll that'll rectify itself over the next few days. I did see an interview as well with Mark Gambin, Tszyu's cut man. He was the one, of course, in the corner against Fundora. And it's funny when you've got, well, it's not funny, but you've got a fighter having to exercise the demons. But in this case, I've also got a cut man looking to exercise his demons. Now, he copped a lot of criticism, and he did say it did affect his mental health. He did plan to stay a few days in Vegas after the fight last year against Fundora, and pretty much the next day jumped on a plane and hightailed it out of there. And he said when he got home, he obviously copped it online from a lot of people from all over the world. But I think the thing is, what I'd say to Mark is no one questions, well, in my opinion, questions his, well, I suppose there were a lot of people that questioned his ability, but don't question his intent towards Tim. Don't question his credentials, nothing like that. End of the day, the wrong decision was made in the corner. Now, I know we've gone over this so many times, but I mean, the facts of the matter is that the fight, they just should have simply stopped the fight. So I think that was what everyone's criticism was mainly about. Yeah, there were the Stitch Durans of the world that said, look, he just did everything in the corner wrong as far as what he was trying to do to stop the cut. But they also said there's no way in hell he had any chance to stop the cut. And Mark Gambit actually said when he was doing the press conference after the fight, he had 10 stitches in his head, and he said it was still bleeding profusely. So he said, what hope have I got to stop it in between rounds when with even 10 stitches in it, it still won't stop. But we get that. As I said, no one questions the severity of the cut and how hard it would have been to stop. But it doesn't sort of change the fact that the fight just simply could have been stopped. I mean, he said it himself. He had no chances to stop the cut. So why not after the second, if not third round, wouldn't they have just said, look, I can't stop the cut? I mean, geez, I was about 20 rows back and I could see they had no hope of stopping the cut. And he's in the corner. I mean, I still can't get my head around the fact that they didn't say, look, he obviously said, I can't stop the cut. And Igor and the doctor would have just stopped it in between rounds. And, maybe it could have changed the course of history with Tim. Maybe he wouldn't have taken the Bakram Murtazaliev fight. Maybe he would have been onto something else. But, yeah, it's sliding doors, of course. But, yeah, as I said, I don't think anyone's blaming Mark for the not being able to stop the cut. It's the fact that what the corner did because he couldn't stop the cut. So, but yeah, let's hope he's feeling a little bit better, because he did miss the Bakram Murtazaliev fight. Not that there was any cut man needed in that one, but he had appendicitis on the eve of leaving to go over there and had to pull out. So he's had to wait a year to pretty much get back in Tim's corner and hopefully redeem himself. He has been in Nikita's corner a couple of times since then, by the way. So, but it was just interesting to hear him talk, because we haven't heard a lot from Mark over the last 12 months. So at least, as I said, he gets a chance at redemption. Now, Eddie Hearn actually had a few interesting words to say about Tim as well. Now, it's easy to pot shot when you're not his promoter, of course, but he did say that he does doubt the credentials of Tim Tszyu, whether he's actually world class. He said it's a massive step up to world level when you've been, pretty much smashing around domestic level fighters. and doubts whether he can get back. He said, look, there's a massive step up, and Tim just fought the wrong fight in his last couple of fights and paid the price, and yeah, doubts whether he can actually do it. G'day, how you doing? So, come here, man. He's tough. When we go a different route, he just tends to get a bit rowdy, does, or a bit stubborn, does Neil. But anyway, as I said, it's easy to pot shot from the other side of the street, I suppose. But look, there looks to be a lot of pressure on Tim, but surprisingly, he looks very relaxed. I've seen a lot of his interviews and everything that he's done, and look, he just said, look, what did he say? Pressure makes diamonds. Of course it does. But he said, look, you know, everyone can have their say. I know where I'm at. I know what went wrong last year, and I'm just looking forward to getting the job done over Joey Spencer and getting back on track. So, and that was the other thing that actually Eddie Hearn did say too. He said after this fight with Joey Spencer, who he deems going right back to the fringes of world level, so he was okay. Just watch the truck going there. So it's funny though, he was okay with George Kambosos fighting Duard Jordan and build that as a big fight, but he's having a bit of a crack at Tszyu for fighting Joey Spencer, who's had a couple of big fights. I did watch his fight with Jesus Ramos Jr. again yesterday. I've got some real doubts whether he can go with Tim, but I'll cover that tonight actually. So if you're watching the channel tonight, this is April 2nd, by the way, that we'll be doing Fight Week on the channel tonight, covering all the fights on the card. I'll be doing that with old mate Big J and Jay McAllister. So it'd be good to have Jay on because he's done a lot of interviews lately with a lot of fighters. So anyway, that's a side note. But what was I saying? With Mark, was I talking about Mark Gallen? I've gotten off track there with Eddie Hearn anyway. We'll move on. Now, another fight that was being talked about over the last few days is Junto Nakatani and Inoue fight. So if you didn't know, they had the Japanese awards night the other night, and both shook hands and agreed to a fight in 2026. So both guys have got a busy year this year coming up. Inoue Inoue's got the fight in May in Vegas, and he's September in Japan, I think it is, isn't it? And at the end of the year, he's in Saudi, or vice versa, whatever it is. So it looks like in the first half of 2026, we're going to get Inoue Inoue and Junto Nakatani. And the fact that, and I love it by the way, they respectfully shook hands, bowed, all the rest of it, and said, let's get it on. The fact that they've started the ball rolling with this fight is massive news. And the interesting thing with that, by the way, is that Junto Nakatani, well, both guys were interviewed, and Junto Nakatani said that he's fast outgrowing the 118-pound division. He reckons the fight will take place at 126, which is featherweight. Now, so this year, Inoue has got all his fights at 122. Maybe at the end of the year, it could be 126 against Nick Ball. But at this stage, they're 122-pound fights. And Junto Nakatani said he wants to unify at 118, at least one of the belts. And then he plans to maybe even skip 122 and go to 126 if that's what it takes to get Inoue Inoue, because he says he's fast outgrowing 118 and he reckons he'll go past 122 pretty quick as well. So the fact that that ball is rolling officially, I think it's fantastic, and let's hope we get that fight next year. Now, one last thing, if you didn't see it, Oscar De La Hoya, when we thought, come here, man, when we thought that he couldn't go, well, which way is he going? You know, Jesus, there's some new breaks there. When we had no idea which way he would go next, he's brought out a new show. Now, I don't know if it's an Instagram show or a YouTube show or whatever the hell it is. Maybe it's just at his office, who knows, but it's called No Effing Way. That is the name of the show, No Effing Way. I'm not sure whether they actually pronounced it properly, but that's the name on the back wall there. There's No Effing Way. So he got on there with his partner. I don't think it's his wife, it's just his partner. And they went through his fight with Floyd Mayweather. So I think that's what they're going to do, is go through some of his biggest fights and give a bit of background story on them as they go. Really good set too, by the way. Come here, man. Out the way there. This guy get past. Hey, mate, how you doing?
Hey, mate.
Hey, mate, off the road there. Here we go. But yeah, they really did a good job on the set. They did a really good job with the show itself. Now, they did actually bring up a few points that I think a lot of people didn't know. He did say during the fight with Floyd Mayweather, he tore, or in the lead up to the fight, he tore his rotator cuff, and in the 8th round, it tore again. What else did he say? He did say that Floyd Mayweather Sr. Said he would train him to beat his son, but wanted $2 million for the privilege. So of course he said no. He did say there, this is the interesting one I didn't know about. He did say there was a rematch clause in place for the Floyd Mayweather fight, and Oscar did want to activate the rematch clause, but Floyd Mayweather retired. Now, the rematch clause had 1 year on it, so it had to be activated within 1 year of the first fight. And according to Oscar, Floyd Mayweather retired for 1 year and 1 day. And then the agreement was null and void, and he didn't have to fight Oscar. Now, whether that's true or not, who knows? He did fight, I think, Juan Manuel Marquez after that, didn't he? So, but I liked it. I really like this new type of Oscar. I'm not a massive fan of the clap back. Well, actually I am, but it's funny when I look at Oscar and say, mate, you really are making yourself look like a bit of a tool. But I love the segment. So I don't know whether this show is going to replace that show or whatever. But as I said, I really like what they've done with the set. It looks very well produced. His partner, excuse me, his partner or whatever she is, was actually a very, very good host as well, surprisingly. I think we've all looked at her online sometimes and wondered if she's actually real. She looks like a plastic doll, but excuse me there, just that morning air. But she did actually, oh, hang on. I'll get back over here. Here we are. Sorry, got that focus there. But yeah, she did a pretty good job. So let's hope we see a bit more of that. So it's called No Effing Way. And again, I don't know whether it's going to replace Oscar's clapback, but let's hope we still get both, because he's still got a lot to say. But anyway, hope if you haven't seen it, check it out. Well, guys, that's going to do it for this Wednesday. Hope you have an awesome day. It's beautiful weather where I am, so I'm sure it's the same where you are. And we'll catch you tomorrow.